Uh-oh, Shang-Chi Simu fires back at Disney over experiment comments. Oh no, is there still blood in the water for Disney? I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going by Cosmic Book News, but this story's kind of a couple of days old, but still, whatever. It's not long ago, Bob Chapek was talking about this was in an investor call about the forthcoming release of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And they're going to go about it a little bit differently than what they did with Black Widow. So he said he called the 45-day frame for the pick before it hits Disney Plus. So there's 45 days of it being in the theaters before it's on Disney Plus. And he refers to it as an interesting experiment and another data point for the studio as it juggles theatrical releases with its streaming service. So this is an honest answer and or description of the thing they're going for here, because this is new ground. Anyone with half a brain would understand that. All right, this isn't really wrong. In fact, it's kind of like, some were saying it like if it bombs, then they'll have an excuse against the case with Scarlett Johansson to say, you see, it would have done it anyway. It's not because of how we release it or whatnot, but they're releasing it differently. And this is the sort of thing I thought they could have done with Black Widow, so that it was exclusively in theaters for at least some amount of time. I was even thinking maybe just a month. This is a little longer than a month. And give it its shot there. But the ground game changed. I mean, right when it was released, there was more fear about a Delta variant and stuff like that, which changes things. And so you can't say it's a normal theatrical marketplace. It hasn't been. It hasn't gone back to the way it was before 2020. So this is where we are. And of course, he's just saying, look, we're trying to see what works, and maybe this will prove it. Shang-Chi has an uphill battle. It's not a recognizable Marvel character. Even people who regularly read comics probably have never read Shang-Chi. The Fists of Kung Fu, I believe. See, I can't even remember the title. It was very much a 70s character, and that was when the Kung Fu movies and whatnot were really hot and happening, at least, for the American market. And, it's gone through its phases since then, and there's a lot of it still around, and it influences an awful lot of action movies and whatnot. Even when you don't consider it like a martial arts movie, it's still there, and that sort of thing. And Shang-Chi came out of that. There's all kinds of problems with China not liking the character, because originally he was depicted as being the son of, Dr. Fu Manchu. And so they've changed that to another character. And so apparently the Mandarin will now be his father, who was supposed to be this Iron Man villain, which they never used, but he had his 10 rings, which I believe came from outer space and gave him powers and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he was like the main villain for Iron Man, but you never saw him. And now suddenly he's going to show up in this one. There's missed opportunities all over the place. The best way to set this up would have been to weave him through other stories. Actually, the Daredevil world would have been a cool one for him to be weaved through. But of course, Daredevil, we now know, is very much separate from the overall MCU because of the infighting between Feige and Perlmutter and all that crap. So, even if they had introduced Shang-Chi, it probably would want a different actor and everything for it now. I don't know. But this is dropping him in, and he doesn't have Infinity War and Endgame to be for him to be sandwiched in between like Captain Marvel was. It's just this. All the other characters more or less got weaved through. Iron Man and the Hulk just had to be put out there, and Iron Man was the big success, and it set it up, and there you're off to the races and all that. None of them are going to be the big star like Spider-Man is, and of course we know the right situation with Spider-Man and all that, because then it would have been Spider-Man and would have been the tent pole for the whole thing had they had the rights to him. All that. So Shang-Chi has an uphill battle just on that, even in the normal theatrical market that we once enjoyed. And what's it going to be when this all settles? even that, it's going to be something different. And so the idea of Disney trying to figure that out is perfectly understandable. I know, boy, do I have problems with Disney, and you should. It's a nasty place. And in a lot of ways, just some of the merits and points made by the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit, she has a grievance there. Whatever deal they worked out for Mr. Liu here, I don't know, but Mr. Liu is not Scarlett Johansson. Now, he's a new guy on the scene, and he may become something. I always refer to it as the movie star era is over, but could be a popular actor depending on how well he does. But it doesn't mean that this is going to be the deal maker for him. Maybe it will be. Of the movies they have coming now, originally I thought Black Widow would be the big movie of the summer and whatnot. It was not. It bombed. That leaves Eternals and Shang-Chi, and I thought Shang-Chi is the better of the... Eternals, I think, is dead on arrival. In fact, they probably should just put it on D+. Shang-Chi, but just as a superhero kung fu movie, could be pretty good. And of course they teased it, the Abomination's in it and that sort of thing. And, there's connection. Now they're already telling you, hey, you want to stay for that teaser at the end. Because remember, it's a Marvel movie. Come on, guys, and all of that. So, but we'll get to the guesstimates of how it's likely to perform. So people took it as a slight. They shouldn't have, but they did. It's acknowledging the reality of the situation. So here comes the actor himself. He says, we are not an experiment. We are the underdog, the underestimated. We are the ceiling breakers. We are the celebration of culture and joy that will persevere after an embattled year. We are the surprise. I'm fired the fuck up, like a 13-year-old, to make history on September 3rd. Join us. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with admitting that it's an uphill battle. Everybody knows this, We are not an experiment. Your film is. All films are. Black Widow was an experiment. It failed, didn't it? So, you got a bigger, tougher battle than Black Widow did. And that's just the way it is. You even admit it here. You're the underdog. That's right. The underestimated. Yeah, for a lot of factual realities here. But I don't know. Maybe there's just, God, I really want to see a kung fu movie with superhero stuff in it. Then it'll do better. The lowered expectations can actually be helpful to it depending on what numbers it can make. So Current and Mistress offered it will debut behind Black Widow, but which, boy, who doesn't want to be? Okay, I'm sorry, but saying only can open only with 35 to 55 million, which I would say 55 million's a win. For so I say, look, you're saying you're the underdog, you do that, and that's pretty good, and there's maybe there's even sequel possibilities there. But this is where we are. It's already hurt by not introducing him like characters like Black Panther and whatnot, weaving through these characters. Even Captain America is weaved through the movies, So that's the way you should do it to keep on with this shared universe template that Marvel has done pretty well. But obviously, we're seeing a lot of the flaws here just in how you roll it out. People are afraid to go to movie theater. Okay, well, some are, and depending on the locales of where you are, you may not even be able to go to it, depending on how crazy things could get. But he's going, it's overblown. You can't use that as an excuse because there's plenty of people to go around for it to make money. So that throws it back to McCloyne here is making the point that the movie just isn't on the minds of anybody. Nobody knows the character. It doesn't have the recognition for that. It has the label Marvel, but clearly that's not enough, and especially following something like Black Widow, who was a popular character, had been an Avenger and all that sort of stuff, and fit in with the story. But the biggest problem with her is everybody knew she was dead, and so this was a prequel, if you will, sort of thing, and They think, well, the story's over. I know how it ends, so I don't need to see it. And then they marketed it with woke politics right at the tail end of it. And yeah, they don't want to admit that has an impact. It does. It does. And probably a lot bigger than they realize. So, it's an uphill battle by your own admission. Underdog. Yeah. So, granted, if it hits 55, I'm saying that's a win under the circumstances. But the idea that, he's going to jump on the bandwagon. And there's this, Cameron Pasha at Midnight's Edge talked about there's going to be, Cameron Pasha predicted there would be hits on Bob Chapek. And boy, was he right. He's got a crystal ball. And Midnight's Edge talked about that a lot of this could be the deal that the woke ideologues don't like the man because he's basically a bean counter, which is exactly what a company like Disney needs. Yeah, he's there to find out what makes money, period. And he's trying to figure this out. How do we get these movies out in the current situation and all of that? So that's all there is to it. This response is rather silly. And it's too bad because the movie might actually be okay. I don't know if it's going to be spectacular and all this sort of thing. And the Citizen Kane of superhero movies. No, I doubt that. But it could be a fun, good little romp of adventure and whatnot. But this type of nonsense, no one cares because no one. Oh, I feel bad for the movie star. No. So anyway, best of luck, Shang-Chi. But this kind of nonsense isn't going to help it at all. And as far as Chapek goes in this, I appreciate the honesty. So anyway, there you go. Shang-Chi coming out on Labor Day. Yeah, Labor Day, I believe. So check it out if you wish. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.